He's part of
Hey there. Well, I know. You got to hear what's going on behind the scenes here. Welcome into the Ben Maynard program. Thanks for being here. Look, it's going to be a fun one today. I'll tell you that. I'll just start with that. But before we get into it, a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. As you know, this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. Doesn't matter what streaming service you use, wherever you get them, just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's right there. Go with it. But do me a favor, subscribe to it, okay? Subscribe to it, and you'll get notifications anytime a new episode is published. But as I said, today's a special one. And look, I got my buddies here, all right? So if you can't resist this, or maybe a little bit of this, or maybe a little of that over there, yeah, then you're watching us on YouTube, and it's going to be fun. Thanks for doing that. But you have to do something for me. Again, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave a comment. I dig your comments, and I reply to all of them, as you guys know. But you also have to tell 1,000 of your family and friends, all right? Hey, I used to say 10,000, okay? But
how about just 2?
no.
Tell 2 and ask them to tell 2.
No. Tell 1,000 of your
that
family
would
and
work,
friends,
actually.
Okay? All right. And then last but not least, follow me on Instagram, simply Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or on the TikTok, and that is the Ben Maynard Program, all right? So plenty of ways to take in this show for your dancing and listening pleasure.
Is it the TikTok now?
Well, I just say that because I'm an old guy. Right?
Oh, okay.
You're not that old.
and as you look, as you can see, I got my buddies. I got my buddy Spaz right here. You guys know Spaz, and I got my buddy Matt. You guys know Matt. And if for the new members out there, the new audience, the new audience members, if you're not aware of these guys, you'll get to know them before the end of the program. I'll just tell you that. We go back a long ways. So listen, where we're going with this, we're in the month of October. We're running right up on Halloween. And I thought that there would be no two better guys right here than Matt and Spaz to join the program and go over our top 10 Halloween movies. Okay. Now let me clear something up. These movies don't have to necessarily be about Halloween, but movies that during the Halloween season you just want to sit down and watch, and it just reminds you of Halloween or the season itself, and you just have a good time. Some of them can be funny, some can be lighthearted, some can be scary, some can be downright slasher-esque, whatever. Okay, it just runs the gamut. So there's nothing specific that needs to be on these lists, and you guys can put your own list together and leave them in the comments. As a matter of fact, let me hit this one right here. Start with that. There we go. And so we're going to do that and go over our movies. As you can see, these guys came ready. I first off, I knew it without a shadow of a doubt that these guys are going to be ready. We got Matt over here with his Universal Monsters shirt on. You got everyone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Boris Karloff. We got the Creature, Invisible Man.
Yeah. It's all right there. And
Good stuff, man.
You got Spaz over here with his bad coffee. This is what happens. This is what Spaz turns into when he has a bad cup of coffee. Michael Myers.
And for those who don't know who Spaz is, my name's Anthony, but Spaz is good enough.
That is true. Yes, we get new audience members all the time.
Yeah, people need to know more or less.
So Spaz, yes, his name is Anthony. Okay. But he's been Spaz for the last nearly 50 years, okay?
Okay.
In fact, I think I was the only one that used to call you Anthony. Everybody else used to call you Spaz.
Well, you never saw the best of Spaz, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came in at freshman year.
Yeah. So, look, these guys, we go back a long way. So, we're going to have some fun. And I know that these guys are going to bring some insights that I just, honest. It's going to be a ton of fun. And you guys can get involved yourselves with your lists in the comments. And some of the stuff that comes up, you're gonna be, oh wow, I never thought of that one. I gotta check that one out. So, all right. So before we get into it, what's going on, Matt?
I'm living life at the best I can. I can't complain.
Yeah.
God's in control. Amen.
There you go.
And working most days. Just started working 4 days a week a couple months ago.
Nice.
So my
Hallelujah.
my
Nice.
boss is really good about that, and been doing some writing, doing a lot of writing. In fact, I'm working on a Christian horror novel. I got 6 chapters of that done.
Wow.
And I'm working on some other stuff, theology stuff. So
Yeah, you're too smart for me.
want to get. I'd like to start some sort of a podcast and start talking about theology. I think that'd be great.
I'd watch.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm on Facebook. You can find me, Matt Davis. I'm friends with this guy, and so if you know him and you're friends with him, you can sign up with me. And I just wrote like 3 pieces on horror because when we started talking about this, horror is not something I think of as what do I watch around Halloween. Although every Halloween I probably am attracted to, want to sit down and watch Frankenstein or maybe watch Bela Lugosi and Dracula or something. But I have other movies that I really like that are of the same horror genre, and the horror genre in and of itself really fascinates me because it really is a reflection of the current sociological paranoia, if you will, of the day, and we see that today in the films that are coming out. We saw it in the past. And so that's, for me, is one of the ways that I think about horror in general, along with drama and everything else.
Yeah.
Except maybe musicals. Musicals are their own animal, right? So you see a lot of blending in more recent musicals with like Rent and things like that. Even the new, I'm going to say Wizard of Oz, but it's not Wicked. So we get this kind of storytelling that's a lot different, but it comes right off of Broadway. And so we get to see the movie magic that's done with that. But a lot of the things that are going to horror are, it's so inexpensive to make, unless you're, Guillermo, and he spends a lot of money on his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that we're talking about, like old movies that not on my list is, and I hope not, it may not or may be on one of yours, is Phantasm. If you remember that movie.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah. I do remember.
That was pretty creepy.
Yeah. They shot it for like $70,000 and it grossed millions.
I thought it was like $70.
The flying balls will scare anybody.
The tinfoil flying ball, yeah. So
that's such a low budget movie.
But it had so many great elements to it. Those little creepy moments and but I'm happy to be here. That's I've been thinking a lot about horror, wrote a couple pieces, put them on Facebook.
Yeah.
You're always from a theological perspective on my part. That's just who I am. And
well, you are you're definitely a very cerebral guy.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You always have been. I mean,
unfortunate enthusiast too.
Ever since we were kids.
Yeah.
And just a little bit more background on you before I turn the microphone over to you, Seth. From the time, what are you doing? It's see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, have no fun, or is that what that is?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. But from
I always get worried when you start to talk about me.
No.
I never know what you're going to say.
No. I would never throw you under the bus.
No,
over you.
I never wore ladies' lingerie. Okay.
No, can't say that.
Are you sure?
I don't know for a fact, but I don't believe so, and I have no photos and I haven't seen them.
Well, if you have photos, I need to see them. Okay.
So here's the thing, though. But like since day one when we met. You are one of the most nocturnal people, if not the most nocturnal person that I know.
Yeah, me and my wife.
And you were always watching. For those who don't live in Southern California area, one of our local channels. It was, I believe it was Channel 5 or Channel 9. Used to have this thing, Movies Till Dawn, and it would start at like 11 o'clock or at night. And it would run till about 5 or 6 in the morning, and it would just be whatever
Yeah.
3 or 4 movies back to back to back, and it was every single night. And you were watching constantly watching movies till dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would tell me about all these movies that you were watching. And not only that, but when we were kids, I mean, the 3 of us, so we used to, in high school, we were constantly going to the movies. And of course, we liked going to see our slasher films and that kind of stuff. So yeah, you've always been into movies.
Love movies.
That's why I knew that when we were going to do this, that you were going to come from a completely different angle, and you were going to get majorly in depth, and I like that. I like it for the audience. So what's going on with you, Spaz?
Absolutely nothing. But I will say that, I'm still here. I'm healthy.
Yeah, you are.
And
Praise God.
well, not 100% healthy, but I'm healthy.
And
my list, I want to tell you right now, it's so modernized. It's real simple. I'm not like our 2 gentlemen here, but this it's not as deep. Mine is just too simple. I didn't put enough thought into it. But
no way. I promise you right now, as we're sitting here this morning, I promise you right now, the audience is going to be the most disappointed with my list than they are with you
probably
guys.
Things, but I don't
know. I don't think that's fair. I think when it comes to the horror genre, that there's something for everybody.
True.
Most people, like Daniela says often, I don't want to see anything horror, right? But then she'll go for intense thrillers, right?
Yeah.
So it might just be the gore that she doesn't like,
right?
No.
So and that's one thing. So you talk about slasher films, and people are like, I don't want to see slasher films.
Yeah,
but they may be willing to sit down and watch the real life murder investigations with all kinds of autopsy information.
And it's more real.
Yeah, it's more real, but she doesn't like the fake, horror for whatever reason.
Stuff. Yeah. Well,
and I'm like, you watch true crime, why you can't watch crime?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, okay, so just to be specific now, remember, if you're going to include a list in the comments, it doesn't have to be horror based. If your movie is not horror based, that's fine. It's just what you're going to, the stuff that makes you think about Halloween and makes you think about this time of season. Okay, that's all it really is. So it could run the gamut on all kinds of stuff. Oh, and you know what? I noticed you trimmed your beard
quite a bit.
Yeah, you cut a lot of it off.
Yep, you're the first person to notice. In fact, my wife still hasn't noticed, and I did it like 3 days ago.
Oh, jeez, Louise. And that's one of the first things.
I'm waiting for her to go, when did you trim your beard? And I'm going to go like 2 weeks ago.
Last year.
It's one of the first things I actually noticed, but I was going to wait till we were on camera to say
it was starting, it for whatever reason, it doesn't grow straight. It's like it's just really kinky hair, and it just was getting too much on the side. So
you had it all out here.
I had it down to about here at one point.
Yeah.
And so I just said, I'm gonna trim it up and let it grow back out.
Why didn't you just braid it?
I actually have been thinking about doing something where I get some sort of a clamp to put in right here, so I can let this grow out. And I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Whatever.
I'm just glad my eyebrows don't grow out like that.
All right, listen. Let's get this party started right now. And you know what? How about if we start with you, Spaz?
You always start with me on your show.
Yeah, but you know what? We'll come to me next, and we'll just come right across this way here. Okay, so we'll start with you. Then
there's no
drum roll.
There's no complaints. Right. You guys can't see no one.
Let's do this, homie.
All right. My 10th.
We're going to go from 10 to 1.
My 10th.
Okay.
We're going to 10 to 1. We're not doing number one. Number 1 is a drum roll.
Count it down 10 to 1. Yeah.
So my number 10 was the Friday the 13th series. And all the movies, they have some scariness, but nothing ever scares me. So you also find out in my list that none of these movies scared me, but when I was a kid, it was different. Scared me when maybe I was a kid, but not as a grown adult. But Friday the 13th in the series. Now there's a series that they made too that was pretty good. They focused a lot of finding artifacts. But it was a good series, so that ride pretty good from the Friday the 13th movies.
When did this series?
It was
air?
back in the 80s and 90s, I believe. Look it up.
There was a TV series.
It was a TV series. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I think it was only one season, though.
Yeah, one or two.
I don't even remember that.
Well, then you need to check it out. Pretty
So
cool.
you just threw in the whole series, right?
Yeah, do everything.
You know, my favorite is Friday the 13th, Part 9. You know, Jason goes to hell. He doesn't pass go. Now he just goes straight to hell.
It took him a while to get there, though.
You know, yeah. And for those of you who don't remember that one, that one had a concerned onlooker role from my radio heroes, Mark and Brian.
No, that's right. That's right.
Oh, that's why.
That's why he watched it. That's why he watched it.
Okay, so for Friday the 13th, I think I saw that on base in Camp Del Mar when I was stationed there. God, whatever year it came out, because I saw it on the base.
Came out in the 80s. The first one came out in the 80s.
Yeah, so, and that was, Kevin Bacon was in that one.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, wow, that's some really original stuff, like the spirit through his chest under the bed and stuff like that. And of course, it followed the trope that is most common in all these, is that the they were all getting killed off because they were having sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was at summer camp.
Right, summer camp. Yeah.
Summer camp, and they were going to straighten up the camp and get it prepared for the kids who were coming next week. Well,
and they were smoking the marijuana and having sex.
Puffing the tuba, having premarital.
That is not the reason I like the series, okay? But it added.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I have to be honest here, and I'm a born-again Christian. I've preached the word on a regular basis, but, hey, at that time of my life, a little TNA, that was a reason to go see a movie, right?
Everybody said that.
I remember asking my dad when he came home from seeing Alien, and he said, "You have to see this movie." And I was like 15 or 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And my first question was there any nudity in it?
Yeah.
And he seriously thinks about it and he goes, maybe a crack of an ass, he says to me.
Well, speaking of Alien, and we'll get back on topic, but speaking of Alien, there is the one scene that every 15-year-old boy can't wait to get a look at, and that's when Sigourney Weaver, she gets into the pod. She's gonna get ready to get
to see the crack of her ass.
She's wearing a wife beater and with no bra, and she's wearing a little tiny pair of panties. And I mean, you don't see anything.
You see enough.
Every 15-year-old
and
boy.
if you were a boy,
definitely.
Oh yeah.
Now going back to the topic, we should go back to.
Yeah.
There was also one big part of the thing where the old man comes with a little bike and says, "You're all doomed." That was like one of my favorites. One of my favorite scenes here.
All right, so number 10, you lumped in the whole Friday 13th series. Okay, Matt. That's right. I'm second.
He doesn't follow his own rules.
He's crooked today. So.
Right. You need a teleprompter.
I'm sitting in a different. You know what? Speaking of teleprompters, no. If I had the whole script, I would. I know teleprompter service. I could put it right here on the
screen. He'd mess it up anyway.
I wouldn't mess it up.
Yeah, you would. You go off.
You have to have the manual advance button if you have a teleprompter. You could do the Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop.
All right.
And let's get away from the politics. Let's just get back to our show.
No, I don't care what side you're on, dude. There's no way you can deny that. It's so sad.
All right.
That's another show we
can
get
back on track. Okay. So my number 10, because I absolutely love this. I love this one so much, and I loved it as a kid, and I love it now. And it's only 25 minutes long, but it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Oh, I love that. I love it.
I'd have, who can argue?
I know.
Who can argue?
What did you get? I got an apple. What'd you get? I got a popcorn ball. What'd you get? I got a rock. Come on.
But Linus's disappointment is really what that is all about, right? Linus's disappointment in that. I mean, it's a lot of fun and everything else, but the fact that it's not real, that idea, same thing with the Charlie Brown Christmas,
Yeah.
why should I be happy? And then he learns the meaning of Christmas,
And yes, and it's like, give me a blue light right here, give me a spotlight right here, and then he tells the whole room what Christmas is all about.
When Linus has that same moment,
I thought
he learns
that
that Halloween is just about commercial.
Yeah, it's not about the Great Pumpkin showing up. He waited and waited and waited, and the Great Pumpkin let him down. So then that's when that was the turn right there.
So either Linus was early schizophrenic, somebody lied to him about the Great Pumpkin, or he was schizophrenic
and somebody still lied to him.
and he had this ideation. But no, it's a wonderful. If you're thinking about that. Halloween for sure. And being a father, and we're all fathers here. My daughter always wanted to watch Hocus Pocus. Once that had come out, and that's something we probably Daniela likes to watch, and they've done 2 or 3 sequels to it now. And then who can Bette Midler? I mean, I've always been a fan of Bette Midler ever since The Rose. And she's just a fabulous actress. But my top 10, number 10 is a movie called Frankenstein Unbound.
Ooh.
So it's a 1990 film by Roger Corman. It's his final film, and it stars Raul Julia and what's her name? Not Jane Fonda. I can't think of her name. She's one of the Peter Fonda's daughter.
Oh, Bridget Fonda.
Bridget Fonda. God, she's 61 years old.
Not a game show. It's a game show now, right?
Raul Julia, Bridget Fonda, and I think it's William Hurt.
Okay.
And basically it's a modern take on science fiction version of Frankenstein, in which the characters are from one of the primary characters from the future, and he ends up being sucked through a time portal into the past, into the period of Mary Shelley, and Mary Shelley's actually writing. Who's it? Jason Patric plays Percy Shelley, and she's actually writing Frankenstein based on actual events that are happening. And Raul Julia is the Frankenstein character,
right? And
then he's got there's another guy, Nick Brimley, I believe, played the monster. And it is a completely unique take on the Frankenstein genre. It blends time travel with science fiction. I remember there was this aluminum car that basically drives autonomously. And there's one scene where after he's been transported to the past, he tells the car, "Where are we?" And the car goes, "There is no GPS satellites online." And this was 1990. This was the film, and then he's all cursing at the car. "Jesus H. Christ," he says, and then the car goes, "There's no record of Jesus Christ having the middle initial." But it's just a really interesting take on it. Roger Corman, the fact that it was his final film, was he did so much. In fact, I have another one on my list here that he did is one of my favorites. So, but deals with the political intrigue, deals with all the things that have to do with Frankenstein in general, morality, creating life. Do we have the right then to take that life if we've created it, and so on and so forth.
Oh, interesting.
See, I knew we're only on number 10, and I knew we would get this kind of stuff. So it's awesome.
Hey, that's good. It's good insight. It's nothing wrong with that. It's good insight.
I'm telling you, get a pen and a notepad. I'm telling you, people. All right, Spaz, you're up with number 9.
My number 9 is the Scream series. Every
including a series for everything.
Well, all 7. You can't put down top 10 and put down 1. Okay. All of them were really good. Okay. Actually, it's Scream 6. 3-7 will be out in February next year. But all the series, I mean, they weren't scary, but they were gory. And sometimes I like to watch gory during Halloween. It's a mood thing. But I love the Scream series. They had a lot of great actors and going from 1 to 6, they've all had different actresses and actors. They're really good.
It wasn't always the same cast.
There was a couple that were the same, but for the most part, the kids that were the ones that were getting killed were all different.
Well, I can tell you this: I haven't seen any of the Scream movies.
Well, it's
I
too
have
bad.
not seen any. So
really, not even one.
No, not even
the first one.
I haven't
Wow.
seen one of them. So it's not by choice or anything. I don't have a block on it. I just haven't seen any of them. So I can only speak to what anyone else has to say about them. Yeah,
fair enough.
Exactly. But
so for me, I mean, I saw the first one and it was a chuckle. I mean,
yeah,
that's what it was intended to be.
Right.
I mean, so, and I think this is true of any genre or any particular drama or any particular idea or storyline, like slasher or a haunted house or just horror movie in general, is that you reach your epitome, and then basically people start making fun of it, right? Mm-hmm. And so you end up with these films that make parodies, make fun, the parodies, and then and people make tons of money doing that.
Oh yeah,
I remember one of the early ones was, I think, was Saturday the 14th.
Saturday the 14th.
And the guy picks a paperclip as his killing weapon,
Yeah.
Richard Benjamin was the star in that one. Saturday the 14th.
I don't even remember that. But I mean, so for me, Scream was really interesting, and it played on. I mean, you could. I'm sure there are whole podcasts just on the film and breaking it all down and stuff.
Of course.
But the ideas that are in it and turning it on its head, where people are going like, "Oh no, you can't leave the room, because if you leave the room by yourself, you would get killed." If this was a horror story.
Yeah, the first one centered on all the kids out there partying. They were watching Halloween, and they were all, "I'll be back," and they come back. Well, so it was interesting.
Well, see, it's so funny. That's where we get into my number 9. Student bodies.
I'm
so kidding.
Man.
I'm so kidding.
It's on my list.
Hey. I'm so kidding.
That's a great movie.
Another one of those.
That was a great
parody movie.
It's
Student
so
Bodies. And you remember Student Bodies?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
I think I only saw it the one time.
I see it. I can see it once a week if I want to.
But I've told you before. I say I want to see it again because it had like I don't remember the actor's name, but he was known as like the human stick man because that guy was thin as a rail. I mean, not even a rail. He was like a pencil.
Not even Nelson, right?
No, way skinnier than Nelson. And his knees folded both ways. They bent both ways. Crazy. Anyway, he played the goofy custodian in the movie that everyone thought was the killer, and they thought he was psycho, and he was kind of.
And they kept naming the bodies every time somebody died at 1, 2, 3. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
All right. Anyway. So my number 9.
Oh, that wasn't your number 9?
No, that was a joke.
Cheater.
My number 9
is in an extra one.
Is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh.
And just because it's a Halloween-esque movie, okay? It's certainly not horror at all. It's a musical, but it always reminds me of Halloween.
I don't know if that was the real world that we lived in. It'd be pretty horrifying.
Yeah,
it actually
it'd be horrifying.
But I remember as kids, we would go see the midnight showing at
AMC
at Pointing Hills, Mall, at the movie theater there, and there was the whole thing. Okay, they're going to search us, and I remember one time, I don't remember how many times we went to go see it, and we weren't even of age at the time, but we got in at midnight, and they would search you because for those of you who may not know, in the movie theaters, when it would show, there would be parts in the movie where the audience would participate. There's a wedding scene at the beginning of the movie, and people would throw rice. And in the movie theater, during the opening credits, there were people who would come dressed as some of the characters. Yeah. You didn't have to go to Hollywood for this. This was right here.
The weirdest.
And they would go up and do a whole bit to the opening credits of the movie. And there was a scene where it was raining and people would have squirt guns.
Yeah.
And shooting squirt guns.
That was hilarious.
So we would sneak stuff in, but they would search us. And I
take
remember one time Matt's wearing this long coat, and he's got like toast in his armpit. and you may have had rice. I don't remember if you had, but I remember you had toast and you had something on the other side, and we were sneaking in with a deck of cards, and we're sneaking in water pistols and all that kind of stuff.
Rice.
And I just remember it was a lot of fun to go do it. And of course, being teenagers and high schoolers like we were, it's great to be seeing a movie that starts at midnight, and it was
past our curfews.
Yeah,
I had no curfew.
Let's see,
I still don't.
The Brad Mall Theater used to show midnight horror movies occasionally. In fact, that's where I saw Phantasm was at that theater.
Good play.
But Rocky Horror, Tim Curry. I considered a movie that he was in that sort of is got some evil theme to it, and that's the movie Legend.
Yeah.
And he just does a phenomenal acting job. I mean, he's totally covered in makeup, but the enunciation of his voice and the characterization that he plays of evil versus light is just a really cool. And he did the whole unicorn horn thing and everything.
Yeah.
So, but that's we used to go, for sure. I even went when I was in the Corps. I remember going places where they let people bring everything in, and it would be crazy. You'd be covering your head with a piece of newspaper because hot dogs, rice, squirt guns, everything.
You have to feel sorry for the ushers.
What was it?
Clamp that mess.
When Frankenfurter, he has everybody in for dinner, and he's got them at the table, and he stands up before the food's presented and he says, "A toast." And then people are chucking pieces of toast. It's like, stuff like that. Tim Curry, he didn't do a lot, at least not on the screen. He didn't do a lot. He may have done a lot on stage, during that time. And but he was a wonderful actor. I think he's still alive. I think
he is still alive.
Wonderful actor. And for those of you who the Rocky Horror show, it was actually a play before it was a movie. And for me, that was one of my first albums. I bought the soundtrack to the play.
Yeah.
It was one of the first albums I bought with my own money. And the sound of that is so much better. The songs, the performances are so much better on that soundtrack than the soundtrack to the movie. When I saw, that was the one thing that I had a hard time getting adjusted to, was the soundtrack, because it was different actors in the movie than were in the play, outside of Tim Curry. Tim Curry was the one constant, and I think Richard O'Brien also, except he completely dressed differently in the movie than he did in the play. But anyway, good stuff. But that's my number 9. So it's up to you.
So probably another one that nobody
Nobody
heard of.
Give us a synopsis. We'll get through it.
So I want to add something here. So Ben mentioned I was always watching movies with Don. Well, the thing is that as a kid, I would sleep for 3 or 4 hours and I would be awake. And this went on for most of my adult life too. Yeah. It's not true anymore, but I can get by on 3 or 4 hours if I need to, but I used to just sleep 4 hours. I would go, if I went to bed at 12, I'd wake up at 4. So I would go to bed at 2 so I could wake up at 6. And that's just when my body worked. And so my parents gave me a black and white TV when I was like in the 5th or 6th grade and said, my dad said, stay in your room and watch TV. What else was I going to do? So that's why I saw all these movies.
Yeah.
But this movie is 1972. It's a slasher genre changer because it's a vampire movie, but most people will never have heard of it. It's called Grave of the Vampire.
Grave.
Oh, Grave. The opening sequence of this film is a vampire is in a graveyard, and he takes this woman away from the guy that he's her boyfriend apparently, and rapes her in a grave, an open grave. and she ends up having a baby that essentially requires blood from her, and he grows up and becomes a professor.
Okay.
And he's played by and I always forget this guy's name, William Smith, who was a fairly well-known character actor. He did Rich Man, Poor Man, and
Yeah, I remember.
Any Which Way You Can, or Every Which Way You Can, the one where Clint
Or Any
Eastwood,
Which Way But Loose.
not that's the first one.
That's the first one.
But
Any
there's
Which
one
Way
where
Can.
he does an all-out brawl through a town.
Any Which
William
Way
Smith
Can.
is the character that he boxes in that film.
Now I remember.
And he's a good-looking, handsome actor. He just never made it all the way, but he's one of the main stars in this film. And he's just hates his father, and he wants to kill his father. And so he basically hunts down his father at the end of the film, and he finally ends up killing him, only for the spirit of the vampire to enter into him. Then,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's like I said, a lot of people haven't seen it. There are some great visuals in it. One of the ones that I remember the most is that this young girl in a montage, she's having to feed the baby, so she's in the bathroom drawing her own blood so that she can feed this baby blood. And so it's and it's also cautionary because it blended the lines between the lore of vampires, say from Bela Lugosi or I can't think of the name. Christopher Lee played him.
Oh yeah,
but there's a couple of other actors that played various roles of the vampire over the years. But this was one that was kind of gritty because it mixed the idea of vampire into modern day society and how they could interact differently than we might necessarily think. Here he was raping this woman. He was able to produce a child, kind of a thing. So, kind of interesting. And it crossed over the kinds of things that women could generally be afraid of, and also men, that paternal idea that we hate our fathers, that's common in society. And if you go to see any shrink, that he's going to be sure to tell you, well, you hate your father. But that sort of plays into the movie trope as well. So, and that's my number 10.
No, number 9.
Oh, number 9. Sorry.
Hey,
Number
we're
9.
all senile.
Keep me straight.
Yeah, I got to keep you straight.
Yeah. Well, because I made my list and I didn't put them in 1 through 10 until I got here today. So.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, you're up with number 8, Spaz.
The Purge series.
Again.
I applaud you. I applaud you.
Instead of 10 movies, by the time this episode is over, you're going to have about 100 movies.
Hey, look, they all have the same premise, and they're all surprising the way they work.
Right.
It's not a scary movie, but it's just the way it's made.
They
are scary movies. They are scary movies.
Not scary in the jump scare type of way or
Right.
the horror way,
Mhm.
but it's scary in the fact that this is what, in the movie, this is where society has gone.
For sure.
And this is how we're going to.
That's what we talked about earlier about
and that is scary when you're talking about governments getting involved and that type of thing. So that can actually be
Did you
quite
see
scary.
good thinking. Yeah.
Civil War that recently came out? Kirsten Dunst was
No, not yet, but
she's a photojournalist. Great film, very Purge oriented.
Yeah, I plan to see it.
And it's really good, and it plays on that idea that what are we afraid of today?
Yeah.
If you look at modern horror, it's not about monsters anymore. We're the monsters.
It's in the head.
It's in the head. And we were talking a little bit off camera before we started, and I was saying, you were saying what really scares you, and I said, I guess maybe going crazy, not knowing who I am anymore.
Yeah.
And if you see that movie I was just mentioning earlier, I don't know if it was on camera or not, with Dakota Fanning, it's called Vicious.
You mentioned it, yeah.
Vicious,
yeah.
I just watched it. I was like, wow, this was very, very moody. And it's the kind of thing where this particular kind of horror is all about my personal experience.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something I never thought about. But yeah, movies today are made.
You can have
the things can happen.
You can have a pure horror movie without the blood and guts.
Well, here I'll give you an example. I considered this for my list and it didn't make it, but there was a horror series that came out that's based on a Stephen King novel called Storm of the Century.
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen that?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
So basically it breaks down to a force of evil comes and it says, to a group of people on an island that you have to give me one of your children.
Yeah.
And that's the deal.
No.
Otherwise, I'm going to kill all of you. Or you can give me a child voluntarily. So they're forced into doing this. And the scary thing about that is that I, as a father, I could sympathize with one of the main characters because he doesn't want to give his child over.
I don't think anybody does.
And then everybody in the island turns against him and says, "No, your child's going to participate too." And so it's that kind of things. Those are the kinds of things that could really scare you. You know,
there are people out there think like that.
Because if a serial killer came into your home and said, "Choose," like Richard Ramirez did to some of his victims.
Right.
I mean, that's some scary stuff, and that happens in the real world. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things. That's why I like horror, because it expresses so many different things. You know, it can have a good dramatic core to it. It can have strong female or male leads. And then when we talk about slasher films, typically, you know, we're not looking at that kind of stuff. Yeah. But as we see, I don't know,
we're not looking at it from the human aspect of it or the psychological aspect of it. We're looking at it
just
from the gore aspect of it, and from the jump scares and that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I think we like it. That's why I think a lot of the horror that's coming out now is very mature in the way that it's looking at things,
modernized. Yeah, that's what this list is about.
And then whenever those two aspects are combined, where you're getting into the gore, the jump scare, and all the psychology in it, where it really makes you think, then you got something, you know, a real bang up.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, so my number eight is from 1999, and it is Sleepy Hollow, starring Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci. I really, really enjoyed that movie, and Christopher Walken played a wonderful, I don't want to call him Pumpkinhead, but he was, doggone it, what's the,
you're asking the wrong person.
What's the
character? Don't ask me.
If I didn't have notes, I wouldn't remember my name.
But Christopher Walken did a great job in that movie. And
that guy's a really good actor.
He's a great actor.
Crazy. Crazy guy.
Yeah, I just really liked it, and I liked the way it was filmed. It was dark and foggy and all that stuff. It had a lot of good elements. It wasn't like a whole bunch of gore or anything like that. Yeah, there's almost always going to be a little bit of blood in a horror movie, but you know, people losing their heads and that kind of thing. It was good. I got a real good. I don't want to say good scare, but it was just a good, for me, like Halloween.
It didn't scare you then?
No, but it was.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And Johnny Depp, he did a fine job. Did a really, really good job in it. So yeah. So that one's my number 8.
Number 8.
So my number 8 is 1992's Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Beautiful movie. He refused to use any special effects, modern special effects. He did double exposures and a lot of other things. He tried to keep true to vintage film. One of the things people don't know is that it's reported, and I wasn't there, but I can just tell you what I've read about it, is that he required the cast to actually read out their parts out loud from the novel prior to filming it. And it's one of the most faithful to the novel productions of Dracula.
Okay.
So not all of it is. He takes a lot of license as well. But what he really does is he brings the idea of Dracula into the liturgy of religion in humanity. And I don't know what religion Coppola is, but the opening of that movie, Gary Oldman, who's another fabulous actor, he goes out to war, he comes back, his love has died, his Mina, and he curses God as a result, and the altar starts bleeding, and he's cursed, and he becomes Vlad the Impaler, Dracula.
Oh, wow.
And so it mixes the historical characterization with the Bram Stoker, because in Stoker, I don't know if you've ever read it, That's one of the things, is that you end up with more human connection in the novel than you do with a lot of the Hollywood productions. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this particular version, Coppola's version, was that it tried to reintroduce that humanity, the relationship, what Jonathan went through when he was separated from her. And there's this one iconic scene where he goes into one of the rooms where he's not supposed to go. And this was Keanu Reeves, a very young Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And he goes in, and these succubuses, the female of the vampires, are coming out from the ceiling, and their bodies are all contorted and twisted. It's just a fabulous scene, and just it does a lot of things for the genre. It basically reinvigorates it. We end up seeing more vampires movies after that film comes out. Although vampire movies have been common throughout since 1930. I want to say 31, but I could be wrong on Bela Lugosi's performance.
Right.
But it just, so much you can do with the vampire ideology and the mystery, the mystique. So, and I think I got another vampire one on here still. Maybe not. Yep, nope, one more to come.
Well, one at a time.
Yeah. Well, but
hey, I didn't pick a series, okay?
Yeah, I think to what you said though.
I did, and I'll do it again.
But I think it was that whole early '90s when you Bram Stoker's Dracula, and you saw a lot of that kind of stuff. You saw the vampire genre really kind of make a return to the screen,
right?
And there was what's the Anne Rice one, Diary of a was it Diary of a Vampire? Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, we saw a little bit of it in the late '80s, like Lost Boys and that kind of thing. But I think it really, really started to come about and become much more popular again after Bram Stoker's movie. But okay, you're up. But what, number 7, right?
Yeah.
What series you going to do this time?
The series is Final Destination. How about that? all the Final Destinations were very, very interesting. How would these people think about what could happen to you if you're not paying attention in life?
So that's the thing. That's the thing about the horror genre, is that what could happen to you. You got to die on a roller coaster. I could die because some bus hits me.
Yeah, you're on a bus and
I could be murdered.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's those are the things. And
going back to thinking, I mean, psychiatry and
yeah.
Well, definitely. it's so the Final Destination is like essentially multiple episodes of the film. What's that?
Of Death.
Yeah, or it's not on my list. Well, I should have put it on there. I've seen all those too.
The Last House on the Left. I mean,
good flick.
That's a crazy movie.
You're right. Yeah.
But then you just have all these individual perspectives of this craziness happening to these people. Yeah. I haven't seen the most recent ones. I've been curious to see what are they doing with the modern update or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't seen a new one, but the old one was pretty good.
What new ways to die did they come up with?
Or how did they? Often what will happen is, how does this become generational? Right.
Yeah.
So I believe the newer ones, and I could be completely wrong here because again I haven't seen or read anything about them, but I think what I've seen based on the trailers and stuff is that it's related generationally now.
Yeah.
Some people, the previous movies, they're older now, and their kids are now inheriting from them, kind of a thing.
They've inherited the bad luck.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Who's gonna die now?
And in order. They do
ongoing The Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
another good flick. Both of them pretty good.
And you know what? I'll say it's not on my list, but it almost made it.
Almost.
That's a good movie.
But it didn't make it.
That is.
There's no movie. Almost. Either it did or it didn't.
All right. So
anyway.
my number 7. My number 7 is from 1981, and it is The Evil Dead.
Great movie.
Yeah, that was a really, really good
almost
movie.
Made my list.
You and I saw that one together. We saw it at the Whittier Theater.
And that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, that's 40 years.
And I remember when we walked out of that, we were like, whoa, this is really, really good. It was a trippy movie. having to do with again
Sam Raimi. Yeah.
Sam Raimi,
Great movie.
and Bruce Campbell was the star, and there was two couples going to this cabin way off in the woods, and they were going to spend the weekend at this cabin, and somebody dug up in the basement of this cabin this old book, opened the thing up, and it was all over from that point on.
The Necronomicon.
And it was. I remember it was a real thriller of a movie, a real scary movie. Did have some gore aspect to it as well, but it was. In the end, we thought the star, Bruce Campbell, we thought that he was going to get it. He got it in the end, but of course they had like 2-3 sequels after that, so we know it wasn't the case.
Did you see all of them, or you just the first one?
That's the only one I saw, and I'll be honest with you too. That's the only time I saw it was with you.
Yeah,
I
like People Did. I thought that it did a really good job of like close order, close camera. There was some close camera aspects of it that sort of changed up the way that we were looking at things on the screen. And I'm always a fan of that. Try and see, especially when you're seeing it at the theater. It's not as impactful when you're watching on the big screen TV. Even if you got a 70-inch at home, but having that surround and always the music. That's another thing about horror genres in general is the music tempo
when you
can really carry.
When you're going to get it, it comes on. So we all know what's going to happen when the music comes on. Sorry about that, Matt.
What do you got for number 7?
My number 7, and this is another old one going back to 1968, is Rosemary's Baby.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
So I as a kid, I always had a crush on Mia Farrow. She's my type, if you will.
What about now?
I just always was attracted to pale, short-haired, petite girls. Right?
So you like Sissy Spacek then, right?
Sissy Spacek, yes. I like Sissy Spacek. Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, well, she's a redhead though too. So I always had a thing for redhead.
Yeah.
What can I say? But the John Cassavetes in that film, he's just really creepy. The realism and the surrealism, they really mix together. Mia's performance. There are moments in there where you just believe she's completely terrified. And if what I've read is true, she had some reason during some of the shooting for her compelling performance. I remember that's having a deep sense of wow, this is really creepy. In that film is probably what carries it through for me, and it's just had an impact on me early because I was born in '64, so I'm seeing this as a rerun, and so that's why it makes my list.
Right on.
That was a very good flick. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it was pretty darn good. Interesting.
All right, so you're up with number 6?
Number 6,
the series,
the
Omen.
okay.
This was the first one.
Okay.
All right, I give you extra points. Who was the main star of the original Omen? That's right, Gregory Peck. And who played his wife?
Gregory Peck. I don't know.
I believe it was Lee Remick. I'd have to double check.
Yeah, it was Lee Remick.
Sure it was Lee Remick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Omen didn't make your list.
Mine.
No, it did not.
Damien, this is for you. She leaps off the building with
that's the scary part. Back in that day, that was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And this goes in, but it goes back to your head. The crazy movies.
That's right.
Okay. That's enough.
All right.
That's enough.
Wow.
Number 6.
So did you go the whole series or just
all 3 of them? Yeah.
Well, there's more than 3.
I think there's
3.
Well,
there's 3
I've seen.
originals.
Look, I've seen 3. Okay.
In the last few years, there's been at least 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, there is. You're
Wow.
right. I've only seen 3.
Okay.
So
We either reboot everything. That's the other thing. That's how you can tell that this is one of the things I have to throw in here.
All right.
There is nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
So says
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah.
So you see the same things coming up over and over again. And we see that, like we were talking about Scream earlier, we see certain fresh aspects when they produce things and they start to make fun of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the most originals, like, and this is on my list either, is Death Day. Happy Death Day to You.
Oh,
I actually watched the first one, and I was like surprisingly found myself laughing throughout. And I typically don't watch these because I had watched most of the scary movies, and I had just gotten tired of it. After the first or second one, it was just
like kind of like Groundhog Day for the horror genre.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was fresh. It was new. It brought all the tropes in, which was great, and they did it in a new way. So,
all right. So my number 6 is from 1931, and it is the original Frankenstein. And for some people, they could probably go with the top 10 of all the Universal horror monsters. The Universal monsters. And everybody says Frankenstein. He's not Frank. He's the monster. But nonetheless, just so that everyone knows, Frankenstein, Dracula, the werewolf, the mummy, creature from the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man. What am I missing there?
I don't know if you're missing anything.
But
the Bride of Frankenstein.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
The Mummy.
I thought I said the Mummy. Maybe I did not. Whatever. We're old. So so yeah, some people could just go and have all Universal monsters on there. But
you okay? You okay?
He's loving himself. That's what he's doing. But but that was just it's such a not only an iconic story itself, but that movie itself. And I actually really should go back and watch it again. I'll tell you the one thing that I remember from it clearly and freaked me out the first time I may have only seen it one time, was when the monster, when he first comes to life and he goes out for his night out on the town, and he sees a little girl there by a well, and he picks her up and throws her in the well. It's like, whoa, this kills a little tiny girl. That's a trip.
So it wasn't a well. It wasn't night.
It wasn't night. What do you mean it wasn't a well? It wasn't a well? I thought it was a well.
No.
What was it?
A lake.
Was it? Okay. Close enough.
Great movie, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And the sequel to it, Young Frankenstein, was even better.
You're a funny guy.
But just that's my number 6.
All right. So, I have this. I already mentioned Frankenstein Unbound, and it's an iconic movie for sure. Frankenstein,
it is, of course.
I'll reserve my comments for a little later in the show on that.
Well, when it's over, we'll
have a conversation. My number 6 is another Roger Corman film who worked on it also with Richard Matheson, and that is The Raven.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple different movies of Raven. This one stars Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, and Boris Karloff. It's actually one of the movies that Karloff does later in his career. And there's so much history about the genre in the 60s and what Corman's doing in this particular film. Yeah. There are other scenes shot from other films because Corman has the set for the scenes for so many days, and they finish shooting, and he's like, I have to shoot for 2 more days on the set, and so he shoots other scenes for other films. But so one of my favorite parts is the duel between Vincent Price and Boris Karloff, which is just for its time, it is just a fantastic piece of animation. It's a great little story. It's not overly frightening. You can show this to younger children. I wouldn't say too young, maybe 8 to 10.
Right.
And it pokes fun at the genre. And again, it's one of those transitional films where if you look before it, you have all this gothic horror, including the stuff from Universal coming out of the 30s into the 40s and the 50s. And then when you get to the 60s, they're looking back and they're making fun of these tropes. And that it was done in a very sophisticated way. It was done in a way that if the idea of like Merlin appeals to you, you're going to find elements of that in here, along with the elements of witchcraft and stuff. I think there's a scene in the movie where Peter Lorre's been transformed into the Raven, and he goes and he is looking for the Vincent Price character, and I don't remember what his name is off the top of my head, but he tells them, I need to be transformed back, and they go and they need certain elements, and he's telling him to look for these different elements, and he needs the hair of a dead man. So he goes down into the crypt, and they are looking at all these different things, and he finds like a box of sheep eyes and stuff like this. It's a great little film.
And for those of you who are a little on the younger side, Vincent Price, wow.
Oh yeah,
that guy was just tremendous, and known for bringing it. Just in his acting, he had a creep factor that he brought with him, and he was the original Fly. Before Jeff Goldblum in 1980,
he was in the original Fly.
Well, he was in the Fly,
and he was actually in the sequel to that film, which was a black and white, which most people don't know. It's don't get me going.
But now
it's okay, man.
Now, all of you that are our age, you know this. For the younger ones out there, did you know? Or I'll even put it this way: bet you didn't know.
Yeah.
The song Thriller from Michael Jackson.
80s.
Vincent Price does the spoken word portion at the end of the song, and that is his laugh. He was known for that creepy laugh.
I remember that.
And so many actors coming after Vincent Price have tried to emulate that laugh. It was Vincent Price. He was the one that was him. That was him. So good on you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, man.
That's
total,
great.
Great one. Great one.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because Michael Jackson produced a really high quality music video, and he went to Vincent Price. Had a lot of respect for Vincent Price, and that's definitely something that crosses over. We're all Gen Xers here, right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm on the cusp.
They changed it. We actually, honestly, probably 20 years ago, we were actually on the back end of the baby boomers, and some way they changed the formula on that. Now they made us Gen Xers. So whatever. But last point on Vincent Price, when he did that bit for Michael Jackson on Thriller, he was given the option of getting a one lump sum payment to do it or getting points on the record. Well, he just thought, I'm doing this, 1 minute thing here at the end of this record. It's, Michael, whatever, no big deal. Points, what's points? Who knows what's going to happen with this thing? So he took the one lump sum payment. I think it was like $20,000 or $30,000, something like that. Can you imagine if he took a half a point? How much money that would have paid his estate?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They'd still be making money on that.
They still are.
Millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Anyway, crazy stuff. Okay, so what are we up to? 5? We're in our top 5
We're
now.
rolling. We're rolling.
Yeah, we're not rolling fast enough.
more series here. Jaws.
Okay.
All right. Jaws, 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Forget about the sequels. Jaws is
the first one. Yeah.
That first one there, forget about it. Forget about it. Yeah. forget it. I mean, nobody wanted to put
Nobody wanted to go to the lake
I
anymore.
think for like a solid year, so the beaches were empty. Nobody went in the water except for the crazy surfers that were half stoned. But yeah, that's it. That's a good one.
The music, especially the music at the beginning.
You talked about you brought up music.
That soundtrack to that makes it scary.
That soundtrack is absolutely.
It scared me when I was in '74. Doesn't scare me now. It makes me laugh now. It's a little different when you're a kid. 74, seeing the movie in 1974.
We saw that at the
Rose, 76, I think.
Rosecrans Drive-In.
Yeah.
And my Uncle Daniel, my mom took us. And my dad was a trucker. He was out of town. I remember he was really upset that my mom had taken us. He had been in the Navy. So he was like, that was so real. And I remember one time being with my sister, and she threw a bucket into the little boat harbor we were at. And we were on vacation somewhere, and I jumped in the water and started swimming towards it. And then I remembered Jaws, and I swam right to the bucket. I got out, and then so then I went back.
You ran on water coming back.
So then I went back to the thing, and I was like, when Michelle lost the bucket, he fell into the thing, and he's like, well, why are you all wet? I said, well, I jumped in to get it. And they're all, well, why did you come back? I said, because I got scared. And I was a good swimmer too, so it was just all in my head. But I'll tell you something. Jaws almost made my list, but I was just thinking of Spielberg. Also, Close Encounter of the Third Kind almost made my list.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, going back to TV and Richard Matheson, he wrote this script, but everybody who knows Spielberg usually knows this. What was the iconic TV movie that he did with Dennis Weaver? Duel. Yeah.
Now, see, here's where we go. We're talking Halloween. We're talking scary. We're talking horror. We're talking spooky, whatever, thriller, all this kind of stuff. And it depends on what you're looking for. But if you haven't seen that movie, Duel, so great. And I think it was Spielberg's first movie.
It was a made for television film. I believe it was ABC.
1972, I think it was. 71, 72. Dennis Weaver was a TV actor at the time. And Spielberg was an unknown at the time. And the cool part about that was that nobody knew why the bad guy was coming after the good guy.
Exactly.
And you never, ever, ever saw his face.
You never saw the driver.
Never saw his face.
Saw his boots.
No. So that was it. You would see his feet. You saw his shoe hit the accelerator. That was about all you would see. Man, that's a good movie.
The reason I bring it up is Richard Matheson is really an iconic author that a lot of people don't know about. If you haven't read his stuff, if you're a reader, I would encourage you to go out, pick up Richard Matheson and read some of the stuff. He wrote stuff like I Am Legend, and he wrote a number of Twilight Zone and Night Gallery shorts for television. Yeah. And he helped to adapt a lot of things. But one of the iconic people in the industry, along with like Rod Serling and even people like Gene Roddenberry and what's the name of Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
And Something Wicked This Way Come was anher one I considered.
I could make the list too.
But it really didn't reflect the story. That's why it doesn't make my list.
So we're at number 5, right?
Yep.
So number 5 for me, from 1982, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Okay. Well, you can make that a series.
No. I won't. No.
I enjoyed watching them all.
I was overseas.
Standalone movies.
Yeah.
I was overseas and saw that in the theater overseas.
That was crazy.
It was a pretty wild ride. Yeah.
It was a wild ride. It was intense. It was thriller, had a little bit of gore, had the creep. It had a lot of elements, psychological as well. And
the little medium. She played a great. Oh my goodness, she was great.
And she'd come in and sage how the house is clean, and then everything, all hell would break loose again. And the acting was great. It was Craig T. Nelson and Jo Beth Williams.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal in the movie. They just did a great job of just telling that story, and it was where they had no clue why this was happening in their home, and it was only their home. And I'm thinking, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking, because it was revealed that because they were digging a swimming pool in their backyard, that this was like payback because their home was built on an old Indian burial ground or something along those lines. And,
like a cemetery type.
They had, so the construction company had said that they were going to move the bodies, but to save money, they didn't move them.
That's right.
Yeah.
They just moved the headstones.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it was spoiler alert. Of course, the whole show's a spoiler alert.
Of course it is. So
that's a good flick. Actually, it is.
So I'm gonna look up some of the notes on my 6 because I think this is really important that people know about this particular movie, and that is The Tingler.
Yeah. Is that your number 5?
Yeah, so my number 5, 1959, William Castle. Now, William Castle's known basically in the horror genre for his vaudevillian performance in rigging up theaters. You may have heard about this, where there would be theaters where they would premiere these movies, and The Tingler was one of them. So the plot of the movie is Vincent Price is the star, is that if a person dies from fear, that what is it that is killing them? And it's this parasite that becomes alive and grows along their spine and looks like a lobster without claws or legs, more or less. And so Vincent Price's character, in researching this, basically comes up with the way to kill a deaf mute who can't scream, because if you scream, that destroys the Tingler. And so he basically brings her to the point of death, and then basically this thing escapes and into the theater and stuff. And what they would do is they would rig some of the seats in the theater with buzzing mechanisms that were produced from World War II surplus. Now, according to these notes, and I didn't know this is just off of Wikipedia, is that these Perpepto, they called them the Perpepto devices. They were repurposed airplane de-icing machines or motors, and they wired them up to the seats, and they would cause this buzzing. And it cost $250,000.
Holy cow!
At the time, for him to, it cost more than to make the film for him to wire up these theaters. Yeah. But it led to the iconic nature, and of course later people didn't want him involved because he was known for overspending and stuff. And in fact, I think he's related to one of my other films. I think somebody pays homage to him. I don't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that in and of itself, the idea of the Tingler, I remember the one scene that was kind of really creepy, and it was black and white, but there's a bathtub filled with blood, and then this hand is coming out of blood.
Like Carrie.
Yeah. So the ending of Carrie. Way before Carrie.
So he was rigging up these theaters to freak out the moviegoers.
Yeah, I've read accounts of this, and the kids would find out. They would go to the show. They would see which person jumped. Then they would go and sit in that one for the rest of the day and watch the film. Totally sounds like something I would.
Those were the days when you paid your $1.50 to go to the movie.
Wow,
and it was a double feature.
Oh yeah,
and we could sit
in
there
59.
all day. We could sit there all day and watch the movie.
59?
Probably
I was to say, because it's 74. I paid 75 cents to see Jaws. 75 cents.
But
74.
I'm talking about when we were kids.
Wow.
And we had our old Whittier Theater, classic old timey building and everything.
But all the rats going through your feet.
Had an orchestra pit and all that. It was just such a tremendously beautiful building that was not taken care of over the years. So it was run down.
So sad they had to tear it down.
Yes, and then we had that Whittier quake in 1987, and there was a preservation society trying to save that theater, and it just unfortunately was beyond repair. But it was a gorgeous building. But anyway, we'd go. That was at the time it was a 99-cent theater. We'd go and pay 99 cents and
get two movies.
We get two movies for the price of one, and we could sit there all day.
Yeah,
that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
It wasn't so great for the theater owners, though.
No, they didn't make enough. They didn't make quite.
Making messes.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't make quite enough.
All right. So what are we up to? 4?
Number 4.
All right. Number 4, sir.
We spoke about this earlier. Phantasm.
Yeah.
That movie was back in the 80s. Yeah, that little flying ball. Yeah, okay, that's.
I think that was 1980 when that movie
80.
came
Yeah,
out.
There were a lot of great things about that film.
Yeah. The tall man.
Transdimensional, tall man.
Okay, time out. Before you are going to have to explain some of this stuff to me because it's not on my list. I considered it. I thought about it. It didn't make my list. But also, and I watched it. I just watched it recently, within the last year. I watched it, and I mean, a lot of times I just wanted to stop it. Just because I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know what the fascination.
Well, so at the time when it came out, it basically was blending together a number of things. So you have the tall man. So this was a
caretaker.
This is a trope, right, that carries over from old Gothic horror, and you could even see Frankenstein in this character, right? But what's his purpose? What's his meaning? Yeah. But you never really get that. You find out that there's this whole trans-dimensional thing that's going on, and the kid is essentially the center of the story. Yeah. And there's a scene where he goes to visit a fortune teller of sorts, and he goes into the house, and she makes him stick his hand into a box, and he's freaking out. He's like, "Oh, this really hurts! Get it off!" And the old lady doesn't talk at all. Her niece or her daughter, whoever she is, talks, and she's all, "You don't fear, Michael. Don't fear." And eventually, he calms down. He puts his hand. Well, see, this is paying homage to Frank Herbert's Dune, okay? Because the character there is forced to undergo, every Jesuit priestess is forced to undergo putting their hand in a thing and a test that they'll die from if they don't pass. And so there's just this mystical element that's there that they never really fully developed. And I've seen a couple of the like, this is another one you can make the series. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the sequel came out for like 10 years or something like that. So by then, you have the same director and writer the same writer is looking to capture what he had lost and explain more. Right. But I don't ever think they really fully explain why. Yeah,
why were people they're taking people from their from the cemetery and sending them somewhere else, which was kind of creepy because I never understood that either. You're right.
They were reanimating
they were
reanimating them. They were shrinking them down.
Yeah, I never understood why were they doing it. What's the point of doing it? But that's a weird, cool crazy thing.
The silver ball. That's a great.
That's what gets to my attention.
There's a scene where he cuts the guy's finger off and puts it in the box,
and all the fingers are taken.
And then he's all telling his brother. He's all, yeah, I got a straight box, and he's all, what? He's all shows him the box, and then he opens it up and he sees his finger, and he goes, "Oh," and he closes it. Okay, I believe you now. Yeah. And then later it turns into like some devil fly or something. Right. So there was a lot of really interesting stuff that he did. But
maybe some of the stuff when I watched it, maybe some of it, and it's difficult, especially in a movie that's released in 1980, and it's like an hour and 29 minutes, maybe an hour and 30 minutes, which maybe there wasn't enough time to kind of explain each of these things that were going on and why they were going on.
Why were they doing that?
I also think it was an independent production. So
it wasn't a real high budget movie.
But it grossed a ton. It did, based on how much. I mean, we're talking about it in 2025.
45 years later, and it
so
made
it has
a ton of money.
And it has a lot of those interesting ideas that are in it that just keep it perpetuating. Childhood fear.
Because of that silver
ball. That's something that you see a lot in Stephen King's horror. There's always a child's aspect of, and then and even in what's the Disney Monsters Inc. Yeah, right. It even deals with that idea of childhood fears and things like that. So interesting.
All right, so my number 4. I think it's my number. We are on number 4, right?
Yep,
I would think so, sir. Yes, double check because you told me it was number 4.
I'm kind of disappointed in myself because as we start talking, all these other movies start coming, and I'm going, man,
It's excellent. This is
we
what it's
should've-
all
we
about,
should've
though.
made
This
it- we
is
should have made it the top 12.
no. I mean,
but
it's fine.
We'll be broadcasting for the next 72 hours.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Get your popcorn and get your bathroom breaks. It's gonna be a long night.
So my number 4 is from 1980, and we touched on it. We talked about it. You brought it up as well. The original Friday the 13th.
Ah, yeah.
And and I do remember. Actually, I think I saw Friday the 13th, the original, after I had seen Friday the 13th Part 2. I don't think I saw the original one first. I don't recall, but it was being a teenager and seeing that, and first off, teenage boys, again, you get excited because you're seeing these young girls going into the can, and they're taking showers, and there's the teenage nudity and all that kind of thing. So you're excited for that, but then these murders,
Mix it in with violence.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Now these murders start happening, and one by one, very methodically, you're seeing the teenagers disappear and get killed. And sometimes it's when they're having sex, and sometimes it's in the shower, sometimes it's walking through the campground, whatever it might be. And you have no idea what's going on. You have no clue what's happening. And this is the first one. This is what's so really kind of cool about this one, is that you don't find out till the end. And spoiler alert, everybody, the movie is 45 years old.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it
you
yet,
now find out that it's this deranged woman who is committing all these murders, who's killing these kids. She's so upset because her son Jason, 10 years before then, went to this camp, and while the camp counselors were out having sex by the lakeside or in a rowboat or in wherever they were, they lost track of Jason, and Jason drowned in the lake there at Crystal Lake. And she's going to pay him all back. And then
I just think she was pissed because she wasn't the one having sex.
maybe she was. But she wasn't all that attractive.
but she was an evil woman. Wow, never scorned a woman like that. Woo!
She was pretty creative at some of the stuff she did. That's for sure. The murders that she committed, she was pretty creative at it. But I think throughout the whole genre, because that's when Jason's born.
Yep.
Jason's born at the end of the movie. There's one survivor at the end of that movie, and it carries over to Part 2, and that's when Jason's born. And one thing about Friday the 13th, the whole entire series was there's some pretty unique killings in those movies. You know, just it took killings to an entirely new level, and just really cool stuff. So
especially with Part 3 came in, they did 3D. I mean, seeing the arrow coming to your eye. I mean, I mean, at that time that was
it almost made my list, and it didn't. And so if it's on one of your lists, I apologize. But Friday the 13th Part 6. Jason Lives.
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
And I think, I mean, of course, we saw Part 2, Part 3 in 3D, Part 4, Part 5. Honestly, I don't remember a whole lot about those, but I remember 6. And I think it kind of ramped up a little bit more at that point. And then it kind of started to fall off again until, of course, Mark and Brian made their appearance in Part 9. And then, Jason goes to outer space and all this kind of stuff.
Jason X.
I'm still waiting for Jason versus Bambi.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So Friday the 13th.
Part 5 had nothing to do with Jason or anybody. It was just
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was just another guy.
Wasn't Part 5
the
second part of Hollywood 3?
It's called A New Beginning. It started. Shut up.
Okay.
Stop giving away the stuff that's coming. Okay.
Right, so that's my number 4.
Awesome, man. That's good.
My number 4 goes back to 1954.
Of course it does.
It is an old sci-fi film called Them.
Yeah.
This is one I saw on TV, black and white TV, and it's basically about giant ants taking over and killing in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So
of all places.
and so this basically plays on the fear, the sociological fear at the time of radiation, right? The Cold War, and we're post World War II, and so there's a lot of films that basically meet this giant spider. Of course, most of us would think more of Bruce Banner when it comes to radiation, but we weren't raised at that period of time. And I mean, I barely remember duck and cover at school when I was like at the second grade, maybe. But after that, they stopped it. But if you think about that, all the generations before us, they were doing duck and cover every
once a month. I think it was
on a regular basis.
They had an air raid horn,
so that played into it. And so this was one of the first ones where they built animatronic ants that they actually filmed. It was actually slated to be in color, but it ended up they were having problems with the equipment, so only the titles are in color, and then the second part of the film's all black and white. But I mean, it's a good film. I used to do the ants when I was a kid, my own homemade ant farm type of stuff. And here was this idea that wow, ants could be deadly.
Strongest animal in the world is the ant. So what did that tell you?
There you go. And you said them, and you said you saw it in black and white. And we're talking about movies till dawn. Well, one of our local network channels, especially when we were a kid, was ABC7. And Monday through Friday, they used to show the 3:30 movie.
After school special?
Started at 3:30 and it went to 5. It was whatever. I don't know if they edited it, but every movie was 90 minutes. And Them was one of those movies that they showed on the 3:30 movie.
They call it the after school special.
Well, but those were different. Those were more geared for high schoolers, for the kids and stuff.
Okay,
but
Them
wasn't.
Anyway,
they showed the Blob in the 3:30 movie too.
Hey, that was a good flick too.
Yeah,
I remember Creature Feature Channel 11.
Channel 11 Creature Feature. It had like a spooky voice. It was thunder and lightning outside, it's storming, and it's dark, and there was just these big windows, and there was a voice. It was almost like a Dracula type voice. It was like breathing, like. Hey, I breathe your way.
That was Ben's favorite part, the heavy breathing.
So anyway, all right. So that was.
Well, I don't know. You did a pretty good imitation. So. Yeah, Them. I mean, I think it's
that's something
sci-fi. The sci-fi horror crossover. I mean, we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Did they colorize that movie eventually, man?
No, I've never seen it in color.
I think there was another giant ant movie, and it was in color, and I think it came out in the 70s. I remember seeing it, and it might have been. Not Attack of the Ants, because it wasn't that silly.
They did a bunch of movies,
But I remember seeing some kind of a giant ant
they did
movie.
Snakes. They did
Little Anaconda and all that kind of crap.
Well, there's one that's called. I just saw that recently. It's but you know what? It entertained me for an hour and a half.
It was.
It
is. Yeah, so it's hilarious.
I actually have that. I have that in my collection. So it's interesting.
If Godzilla could fight a giant moth, then why can't we?
And then the bug.
I mean, so we don't. So that's a good thing you bring up Godzilla, because Them really is sort of a corresponding film ideology to Japan's Godzilla, because Godzilla comes out post Second World War, and it idealizes radiation, right? Because he's awakened up by bombs and stuff, and he destroys the whole continent, more or less. And then here we have, giant ants. We didn't have a monster, and that's one of the things we don't really have until, what's the name of that film that came out where people were saying it's the American Godzilla?
Oh, Cloverfield.
Cloverfield, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So we really don't have anything that's really identifies America as a giant monster type thing. All those Mothra and everything comes from Rodan.
Yeah,
and all that comes from
that was great though. Back in our
War of the Gargantua.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was so good. That was so good. I love that one.
There's a freaky part where he just picks the guy up and eats
it
him.
was
And
a
spits out
girl.
the clothes.
It was a girl. She was at the airport, and there was the green one was the bad one. He was the one that went nuts. and he picked up that girl on the runway of the airport because they were all running away, and he picked her up, ate her, and spit out the clothes. Like, whoa.
That was pretty
Actually,
gruesome.
That's actually pretty good. He was able to separate the body from the clothes and just spit the clothes out.
Yeah, well, the clothes were chewy. So,
all right. So we're
number
up to,
3.
We're up to number 3, man.
The Exorcist is number 3, and all of them. And
there you go.
They had quite a few, but yeah, that film was real scary. It was, in my opinion, and Linda Blair did a fantastic job in playing the way she played.
I totally agree with you on that one. For me though, I only saw the movie one time, and it didn't have an effect on me the same way it seemed to have an effect on everyone else. And I don't know, it was unedited, but I did see it on network television.
Mm-hmm.
It was unedited. It was a special they had one night because they would do it from time to time. This was way back when we were kids. It would be like election night. Well, no one's going to watch anything on election night other than election results.
Yeah.
So regular programming's out the window. And I think that was because I remember one time we showed Deer Hunter, and now so I think Exorcist was one of those times. And if it wasn't, it was still special on network television. And to me, the most chilling thing about that movie was Tubular Bells. That was the most chilling thing about that movie was the music. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't have the same effect on me.
Well, it had an effect on other people, like my brother. Yeah. He would not eat guacamole for a month. I mean, saw that all that spew coming out of her mouth. He would not eat guacamole for a month. I'm going,
right. Well, but, and so just to think of puking at all, right? So anytime you see a puking scene in a horror film, that's going forward, you always think of The Exorcist, right? Yeah. So, but
people would make reference to it, like if you're like really violently sick and you throw. No, I had like Exorcist. Exorcist.
Yeah. And you see how horror impacts society,
culture.
Culture.
Yeah.
So, for me, was one of those films I didn't see. I never had a desire to see it.
Yeah.
And then I finally decided to watch it when I was an adult, and I could see why it was frightening to people. I mean, it really looks at the Catholic religion from a different perspective, and it idealizes the idea of ritual and liturgy in the Roman Catholic Church, which they don't publicize a lot, but it does still is even ongoing today, where they will go and perform exorcisms, and especially places like the Philippines and other outlying or what we would consider third world nations. Where they believe that that's still ongoing. So, I could totally see why that's something that's scary.
Well, back in '73, I mean, you're talking now, okay, I understand, but back in '73, when you're 5 or 6 years old, you're not supposed to be watching these movies, but you're watching it anyway, and you pay for that.
If we were in high school, I'd be dialing 911 on your folks for taking you to the movies back.
So much trouble before we figured out a way to get in.
Yeah, and I don't. It never was something I really wanted to watch. So I don't know why. It just wasn't.
Maybe I tell you, we from time to time we should whether we go to your house here, whatever it is. And we just put up on the big screen. We'll just pick a movie this night, and there's going to be something off of our list here. Watch this one and watch this one, and see if it has the same effect we think, or we think differently about it after that.
We should do that every once in a while.
I think that's really cool.
Interesting. Anyway, that was my 4th.
No, that was your number 3.
Was my 3rd?
Number 3. Yeah.
I apologize.
Okay. My number 3. My number 3 is from 2018. And it is Halloween, and it's the version now. If you're unfamiliar, there's been like
100 versions,
like 100 different Halloween.
And Rob Zombie's have done a couple.
No, this gets back to the story, and what it's supposed to do is supposed to go from Halloween, the night Halloween, and this is supposed to be like your sequel. Yes, I guess in some ways it could include Halloween 2, but I don't think so. I think it goes from the end of Halloween and then it fast forwards 45 years. No, and I'll explain. Because at the end of Halloween and at the beginning of Halloween too, because we made tapes of this stuff. We talked about this before.
What are we talking about?
The three guys in here, and there was about 2 or 3 other friends. We used to make these cassette tapes in Matt's bedroom. Matt had this really cool stereo that had a dual cassette deck.
Don't shake your head.
It was a Voties special.
I don't care what it was.
Yes, Tagar.
But it had a dual cassette deck, and he had 2 microphone jacks. And we plugged the microphones in. We could dub stuff and everything else. We just did all kinds of crazy stuff. But we would take a movie and we would put our own spin. Of course, we make it a comedic type thing. And we do these sketches. We always said is, okay, we know this right here. We know the beginning. We know the end. We know the important elements in between all that. And everything was improv. And we did Halloween. We only got about halfway through that one, and I don't know, we'd stopped. But we did Halloween 2 first. And here's your Dr. Loomis right here, Spaz.
Yeah.
Here's your Dr. Loomis. I think I was Laurie Strode. And so,
was he really?
Yeah,
was he a chick?
Yeah.
He was a chick? I don't remember that.
And
We were pervs back then. So.
But here, okay. At the end of Halloween and the beginning of Halloween 2, this is where I'm going with this. I know, long road to hope. Dr. Loomis, spoiler alert again, shoots Michael Myers 6 times, and Michael Myers falls out a bedroom window off of a balcony and onto the front
Actually,
lawn.
he's on
And then,
7
well,
times.
hold on, that's where I'm going.
No, because he clicked his gun after.
Well, but he
technically,
yeah, but he actually did, because now, and it's funny, we made fun of it in our tape, on our cassette that we made too. So the beginning scene of Halloween 2 is the final scene of Halloween. Okay, they just redo the whole thing in Halloween 10. Now, we saw this movie together,
and at the theater.
We counted this thing multiple times. Dr. Loomis fired 7 shots
from a
6-shooter, a little snub-nosed 38. Okay, fired 7 shots, not 6, but he's screaming the whole time. I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times.
Yeah.
And anyway,
I think on the tape we shot him 20 times.
And we shot him about 20 times, and we still claim he shot him 6. And then the neighbor comes out and he's like, hey, "What the hell's going on out here?" Stuff like that. But nonetheless, Halloween it's and that's what we're talking. We're talking about Halloween here. The day, trick or treat, go out and get candy, dress up, put your costume on, whatever, all that good stuff. Have Halloween parties, play spooky music, that kind of thing. And Halloween 2018 was supposed to be like the original sequel to Halloween. But after Michael Myers, he shows up. Dr. Loomis goes to check on him after he shoots him 6 times, 7. And there's no Michael Myers. There's just a blood stain on the grass and an imprint where his body laid. And what happened to Michael? Well, fast forward 40 years or 45 years or whatever it was, and Michael Myers is in an institution. He's institutionalized. He's bound and shackled and all that kind of stuff. And it picks up from there. Some doctors, psychologists, freaks, really, who want to go and study him and all
podcasters.
That. Yeah, there you go.
They're talking about Halloween, the first one after later. Okay, I understand.
2018.
So it picks up there, and Michael's on. He ends up busting out, and it's all the same stuff. But his sister, Lori, she's like, I'm never giving up on this.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Doesn't matter. He one of these days he's coming for me, and I'm gonna be ready for him. And she was just waiting and waiting and waiting for him.
Yeah, it was great.
And, it was great.
I liked it.
Really
I actually liked the last couple that they did.
I enjoyed the script, and the acting was really good. And I even liked the one point where the the sheriff or the state trooper or whatever got his head turned into a jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually kind of cool.
That was towards the end of the movie.
No eyes, no mouth, and there's a flashlight in his skull. I was like, whoa, okay. But no, it was good. I did like that one. So that was my number 3.
A worthy number 3.
It was worthy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a great deal. So on to me now.
Yes,
sir.
My number 3 is 1985's Fright Night. I always really enjoyed this film. It has Chris Sarandon as a vampire. It is a early end period where everything's done with makeup and special effects, and so there's no digital effects in the film
at all.
Yeah, no CGI.
I liked all that stuff.
There's a great scene where Chris Sarandon is he's wooing the boyfriend's girlfriend. I can't remember what her name is, Leslie or something like that. And they've gone into this dance club to try and get away from him. And he comes up and he starts dancing with her, and there's a scene where she's dancing and she sees all the mirrors on the wall and there's nobody. She's not dancing.
True.
Yeah. And the other great scene is Ronnie McDowell plays Peter Vincent. And so they named him Peter Vincent because they were looking at either getting Peter Cushing or getting Vincent Price to play the role. And so they actually named him because he plays a late night horror movie host. Right. And so and of course it's just smartly done. It mixes the modern mythology of vampires in with high schoolers, but there's this one scene that it echoes something from Stephen King's Salem's Lot, which also didn't make my list, but was a top contender. And there's a scene where Peter Vincent decides to go back in, goes in, and he breaks out this giant cross, and he holds it up to Peter Vincent, and he says, "Back, spawn of Satan!" And Chris Sarandon at first starts going like this, and then he goes, "You have to have faith in this for it to work on me." And he grabs it and he crushes it. And that idea that faith was required to defeat the vampire is echoed in Stephen King's original novel and in the 1970 series with David Soul. Where
wait, Dave, you mean not David's?
Yeah. David Soul.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the kid that played in it. He was a James at 16 actor. He was in it too.
Okay.
But James Mason plays the proprietor who's just preparing things for Dracula. And Dracula in that story is very Nosferatu.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where they go to the boy's house, to one of the boys' house, and the proprietor says the vampire shows up, and the priest is there, Father Callahan. He has a cross, and he says, "What do you say?" He's got the boy. He's like, "What do you say? A test of faith. I let the boy go. You throw away the cross, and we'll be faith against faith." And this has always fascinated me. This idea of faith, not the cross, the faith of the individual is what it takes to defeat them. Yeah, and so there's some flavor of that in the book itself. I don't know if you've ever read Salem's Lot. It's a great read. But also, I think the Rob Lowe version, which came out on TNT, reflects some of that too. There's a scene where they put a couple of those what do you call it? The things where you push your tongue down.
Tongue depressors.
The tongue depressors together, and then they're doing like the Lord's Prayer over it, and it starts glowing.
Oh, true.
But good stuff. I thought it's a great film. They did a remake, which was okay. It wasn't. I mean, it was a lot different.
Okay.
But this original, I own it. I watch it on a fairly regular basis, at least probably once a year. And great.
That's Fright Night from 1985.
Yeah.
I've seen that popping up on the home screen on my television, but I've seen that one popping up in the last week. Maybe I should check it out.
They did a sequel to it, which was a direct sequel to the film, which was okay. Yeah. But Chris Sarandon wasn't in it, and he brought a lot to that role. His character brought a lot.
Sometimes
to the role.
you see visuals not having the original kind of just kind
Well,
of
the
just
Charlie
kills the
Brewster
second one.
character, who was the high school kid,
Yeah.
he confronts Chris Sarandon's
Yeah.
sister, who's very pissed that he's killed
Oh, I
Chris
see.
Sarandon. So yeah, it's interesting. It's okay. It's not the original, but
Yeah.
it's still worth the watch.
It fulfilled you.
All right.
Number two.
Number two.
Yeah. The Terrifier series. Did you guys? You haven't seen it, man. Don't worry. It's
No.
it's,
You haven't seen it, Ben. Don't
1,
worry.
2, 3.
Is that
It's
the
gory.
little-
It's nothing.
the little
It's
doll
Art the
head
Clown.
thingy?
It's Art the Clown. It's a clown.
Oh, okay.
The black and white clown with the big hat walking around killing people.
Yeah, okay. No,
It's really, really super gory. It's something you guys would not
Where
really watch.
When did this series come out? When did it start?
Well,
anyway?
It started with All Hell's Leave, and then they had 2 parts of that, and then the Terrifier series came out using Art the Clown as the main person killing
Did
everybody.
this start in the 80s or?
No, it's recent.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Terrifier 3 just came out last year,
Oh,
and Terrifier 2 came out the year before that,
okay.
and then back in 2018, the first Terrifier came out.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they're super, super gory. You really have to have a flavor of gore.
You gotta have.
I mean,
Saw gory?
Yes.
I've never seen one Saw movie.
Oh,
But I hear
they
the
didn't
first
make
one-
my list, but
if-
those are
if-
great
If
series.
you're gonna go see one, the first one's the one to see.
Nah,
Well,
that bummer kind of bored me. I like the 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I liked the first one a lot because it was, it was different. It broke the mold for that series.
It only centered on 2 people talking to each other in a room, and that's for me. But the second, third, and fourth, then it got better
Okay.
for me personally.
All right.
It was
But,
it was sort of the usual suspects of horror movies.
True.
All right. So my number 2, and I made a last second change on this because I had a brain cramp and completely forgot
That's
about
not what.
this
That's not
movie
what.
and realized, oh no. This one has to be on the list. It has to go. And it sits perfect at number 2. And that's from what year again? Oh, I don't remember the year. I think it's 1981. The Shining.
Oh yeah, Jack
Kubrick.
Nicholson. Oh yeah.
Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, it's man, it's just a really, really good movie. Again, not a lot of gore, except the one scene where the elevator doors open and a big old wave of blood comes out. But aside from that, there's not a lot of gore at all, not a ton of blood. But man, does it play with your psyche. And you see how isolation can make someone really lose their mind. And especially, look, Jack Nicholson is the star if you haven't seen it, but you got to go see it. You have to go see it. Shelley Duvall plays she does a great job. Shelley Duvall never really did a whole bunch. She's not known for a whole bunch. She's known for being a little on the quirky side and
Playing olive oil.
and playing olive oil because she was perfect for olive oil because she was about as straight up and down.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, she's kind of quirky. Jack Nicholson's a writer, and he's they're going to go tend to this lodge in Colorado for the winter. They're going to tend to it. They're going to keep up with it. Just mind the property basically until spring arrives and the lodge opens back up. And Jack figures this is a great opportunity to finish my book. I've got this book I'm working on, and I'm at a block right now, and I haven't been able to get going. But man, there's this huge. I can't even remember where it was. He would sit down at his typewriter and go at it, but you just see that he gets lost in his writer's block, and he gets lost in being isolated and isolating himself. And he just starts to he just loses his mind, and he becomes this unrecognizable killer.
Psycho.
And, it's really, really good. Like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unusual film. It's King himself is on record as saying it's not his favorite adaptation. Kubrick always put his own spin on everything. And he's a masterful director. So I don't want to take anything away from the Kubrick version, but for those of us that are King fans, that particular book was iconic when it was released, and it's really made more about the father character in the Kubrick version, although there are elements of the child's encounters, but the novel itself is really all about the kid, and that explains the sequel. When you come to the sequel, that is just Dr. Death. No, was it Dr. Death? I'm not going to remember the name of the sequel now.
I can't remember the name.
But it's got Ferguson, Rebecca Ferguson's in it, and it's who played?
I never saw.
Who played the Jedi in? I can't even think of his name.
The Jedi
in the first film, Episode 1.
Ewan McGregor.
Ian McGregor's in it, yeah, and he plays the boy growing up. I actually really like it too.
Yeah, and I heard, and I never saw it, but I did hear it was pretty darn good.
It is. It's a really good film
because it told the story years later. It really picked up,
and it really is a pretty great. I love what they do with it. I don't want to spoil that one. It's a more recent film. It's a really good film.
Yeah.
But I did consider The Stand, but there's at least 3 versions that you would have to have seen to be able to really consider them all. And usually most King fans really like one of the TV produced ones because it really focuses more on the boy. And I will say this, there was no maze in the book. This was one of the things that Kubrick couldn't have produced because of special effects and stuff at the time. But in the book, there is a menagerie of animals. And in the conclusion from the book, rather than anything happening in the maze, there's a character named Halloran, who's in the Kubrick movie. He's trying to get there to help Danny, and these bushes come to life, and they're fighting him to keep him away from the Overlook. Yeah, and so I've always been disappointed that they never did that. So that was kind of cool. But great movie.
Yeah, really, 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 really liked it, and it did it. It was a last minute call. I had to take 2 out and put that one right in. All right, so we're up to number 1.
No, we're up to
no, number 2 on your part.
Well,
that's number 2.
My number 2 is 1978's Halloween.
Yeah.
So John Carpenter changes the genre. He basically comes up with the formulation that almost all horror films follow after that, at least through the 80s, right? Where the single white girl is usually the survivor. She's a virgin. The kids that are having sex are the ones that are getting knocked off. But there's some iconic moments in this film. The score, of course.
The music.
John Carpenter comes up with it on his own over the course of 3 days to save money. It's a low-budget film. But there's some scenes where Michael takes out a couple people where he sticks a guy up to the cabinet with a butcher knife, and they show the guy's toes going limp. And it was just like, wow, that was pretty hardcore. And there are other elements in there
Bob
too.
Was his name?
Was his name Bob?
Bob,
I don't even remember his name. I just remember as the foot guy. And a couple other shocker scenes. The out of focus background, so she's in focus and then he's dead. She's just killed him for the second or third time. But then he rises up. This is the first time that this is happening on film, and it's something that basically shows the brilliance of John Carpenter. And I'm a big fan of all the directors we've been talking about. But that's an iconic film, and it hits my number 2.
All right.
You can guess what number 1 is, right?
Well,
the Halloween series. The Halloween series, all of them.
I'm just going to say this. Since Halloween is your number 1, 1978's Halloween is my number 1 as well. So we can talk about that, and then we'll let Matt get on with his number 1. I'm disappointed it was number 2, Matt. But
that's what started really the slasher. I think the slasher series. He's out there killing people, and it's like, it's psycho, man. He didn't talk to nobody for 15 years in the movie. I mean, that's not talking to no one. How can you How can you vision that? I couldn't possibly vision that. I couldn't stop talking for 2 seconds, much more 15 years.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how, in the movie itself, that's um, even with the Rob Zombie series of parts 1 and 2, I mean, they cover that a lot too. But and it was good, but they were much more gorier.
So did you see this on TV or did you see it only in the theater?
No, I saw it in the theater. I saw it on TV. I saw it all. I saw it 30 times.
Because the TV version added elements about Michael's imprisonment.
Yes, they did.
And him
like they added some cutscenes.
Some cutscenes. So explaining more, and so I think that those of us that are young enough to remember seeing that on TV at the time when they made the decision, because they were cutting so much out of the film.
Yeah.
Because
they had to
add something, so they added these.
Like, where did this come from?
That had been trimmed as a result of meeting a short 90-minute airtime, which is so common in that era.
It was,
it's very formula.
That's a good point. I mean,
most horror movies today are still 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
So, am I announcing my number one?
No,
now?
not yet.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, but. Just piggybacking on what you were saying, Spaz, about Halloween, and what you were saying for your number 2. Can't believe that. Whatever.
Hey,
so no, it takes this festive holiday when you're a kid,
and
totally it just turns it on its head.
Yeah,
right. And obviously, if you start 13 years prior. In 1965, when Michael is 5 years old, I think he was 5 or 6, maybe it was 63. And I think it was 63.
It was 63.
It was 63, not 65. 63.
Close enough.
They checked his birth certificate.
Yeah. and Michael, comes home from trick-or-treating and sees his older sister, with her boyfriend at the time. She's a high schooler. There you go, teenagers again. And then, the guy leaves. Michael's hiding behind the bush.
No, wait. You forgot a crucial part here.
Oh, whatever.
Right, they're all making out, and Michael sees them, and then they're like, "Let's go upstairs."
Yeah.
And by the time Michael goes around to the back of the house, the boyfriend's coming down, putting his clothes on. So the guy was like so he was the 62nd guy, apparently.
Maybe like 13.
Yeah. Because I remember going like, man, that guy was like really fast.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're in high school, it could be like that. So
the refractory period is a lot shorter too. So he's ready to go. Another 2 minutes.
I wonder why he was leaving, right?
Yeah.
So because her parents were coming home.
Yeah.
Actually, because it was written in the script.
Yeah. So, but you're right. You bring up a really good point on that one.
So for that short transgression,
but it takes Halloween and this scene here. It doesn't really explain why Michael kind of lost his mind as a 5-year-old, but it starts with him killing his sister after she's had sex, and then he's institutionalized and he doesn't speak for another 15, 16, 17 years, whatever it was, until 1978. And he ends up breaking out of the institution, and it's the night before Halloween when that happens, and now it's Halloween, and he's gonna rain hell on his town of Haddonfield where he grew up, and he knows he's got a connection with somebody there, and he's going to make sure he takes that person out. And there's just a lot of thriller in that. The music is phenomenal. The music, not just that theme song, that very simple 3 or 4 notes that are played over and over and over again, but that whole, it's almost Jaws-esque. To go back to what you were saying, anytime Michael is done. Done. And it's like, oh man,
something's coming. Yep.
You're gonna be sorry, that kind of thing. And so it's just so good, and again, so good that we as high schoolers, we did our own comedic take on it and had a lot of fun with it, and I just remember seeing it for the first time in the theater, and I was like, this is the scariest movie I've ever seen. and there's not a lot of blood in it at all. Like really not hardly any.
Hardly any.
But man, that is a terrifying movie. And I don't know if you guys know, but bet you didn't know that the Michael Myers mask, because this was a very low budget movie, was bought at a hardware store near the set, near where they were shooting. Actually, they were filming that in South Pasadena, not very far from where we are now, maybe about 40 miles from where we are, in South Pasadena, in the springtime. So they had to actually go scoop up all these leaves and hang on to these so they could throw them down and show you that it's fall. If you look at the trees, everything's green. It's supposed to be Haddonfield. This is in Illinois.
Yeah, with palm trees that you're not supposed to notice.
So check that stuff out. But the Halloween mask, the Michael Myers mask, was bought at a hardware store for like $5, and it was a mask of Captain Kirk from Star Trek. They painted it white. Okay, and that's where you get Michael Myers from. But
in the movie they said, oh yeah, they stole a bunch of stuff from the hardware store. There was a map.
There's a scene in the exactly. There's a scene in the movie.
Yeah,
the hardware store break-in. But it's just a great movie, and I love it. And I do like Halloween 2 as well. The original sequel to it. I really like that one as well. Basically just taking place at the hospital the whole time, and everybody's getting systematically taken out by Michael in his nonstop obsession with taking out Laurie.
Right.
You know,
because every murder is in pursuit of her. He just happens to run into other characters.
There's just obstacles.
They got in the way.
The scene in Halloween 2 where Loomis is there in the hospital and he's just shot him like for the second or third time. Yeah. And then a trooper comes in and
go check.
My goodness.
He's all, and then Loomis is all, no, stay away from him. He's still alive. His chest is moving. He goes, no, he's dead. And of course, he's dead.
He takes the scalpel and slashes his throat.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's just too bad Halloween 3 didn't continue that route, not till Halloween 4 when
on its own. Halloween 3 I thought was a pretty good movie, pretty good story. But if you're tying it in, you're trying to tie it in with the Halloween series, forget it.
It's in the book though. I read the Halloween 3 book. They put the shape as the shape in the book, but they never showed it in the movie. Right. Which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
We read Halloween 3. I read it. I actually read Halloween 3.
When it comes to stuff like that, that's not uncommon because it's hard to show a demonic presence and transfer that, which is what they were trying to do in Halloween 3. So you see the same thing in the Dead Zone and Cujo.
Yeah.
So the Dead Zone, the serial killer slits his neck from ear to ear.
Yeah.
In the movie, he eats a pair of scissors, and it's pretty grotesque. But in the book, he actually kills himself. And here's this really evil guy who basically became the boogeyman in Maine. Yeah. And so Cujo starts out with the talking about the spirit of this character, Frank. I can't think of what his last name was, and how Cujo essentially gets.
I hardly remember all that stuff. I gotta see that movie again.
No, Cujo's. It's not in the Cujo movie.
Yeah, it always seems the books are.
The psycho rabbit
you just
dog.
think it's a rabbit dog.
There's
this whole possession aspect to it. If you read
the books are always better. It seems, right? I mean, why did you stick with the book, stick it with the movie, and stick with the book? I mean, it would be better.
I'll come back. We'll talk about.
All right.
We got to talk about your number one.
So we got to get to your number.
All right,
so
number one.
Get on with your day.
Number one, 1931. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be. It's we don't have these other horror movies. There is no shape or monster in Halloween if we don't have Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Right. Disembodied human figure. Right. Doesn't talk. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't talk in the movie Frankenstein. He doesn't talk. Now, there's a departure in the movie from the book. If you've read Frankenstein, you know this. My favorite version of Frankenstein is actually, I believe it's an ABC 73 production starring Michael Sarrazin and James Seymour. And I think it was shown like in two parts, like a Sunday, Monday night type deal. And it was called Frankenstein, the True Story. And the iconic thing I remember in that is they combined Bride of Frankenstein, and Sarrazin's character hates the Jane Seymour monster because she's so perfect and he's not. And there's a scene where he goes in and he rips her head off.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was on television, so it was one of my favorite ones that I remember. It just had a lot of great visual impact on me as a younger kid because I saw it on TV at the time.
Yeah.
But if you go and you watch Frankenstein, 1931, and you look at what James Whale is doing, he's bringing over this gothic image that basically from the 30s forward into the 40s, everything gothic comes from that set that Universal did that became Frankenstein. The prosthetics that he did that gave him the flat topped head had never been done. And basically the guy cobbled it together himself as a makeup artist. Do you know, I'll give you bonus points if you know who was first considered for the role of Frankenstein?
The original.
The original.
Wow. We're talking 1931.
You're talking about a tall dude for one.
Well, no,
because they have platforms.
They gave him 9-inch platforms that weighed like 11 pounds.
Oh, you mean like the Munsters?
Like
the Munsters?
Or, you know?
Well, I'll just tell you, it's Bela Lugosi. In fact, Lugosi's on record for saying that he sort of regrets turning down this film because he saw what it did to Boris Karloff. Yeah. And they were in competition for the same roles for many years. And so
I was going to say Lon Chaney, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I think they originally wanted Claude Rains to play it.
And he was busy playing the Invisible Man or whatever, something like that.
Maybe it wasn't Claude Rains. You know what? I'm not going to, I don't want to go. Well, I know that their original person was the gentleman who played the Phantom in the 1922 Silent. But he passed away. And then their second choice was Bela Lugosi. Lugosi said, because he was a theatrical performer, he said he thought his talent would be wasted because the monster doesn't
because he couldn't express himself. Right.
But there are some, you mentioned the throwing of the girl into the well or the lake.
Yeah.
That's one of the iconic things. And then the other one is when the father finds the girl, there's an extended scene where he's carrying the body into the city and he's crying out about his daughter, and that is what leads to them hunting down the monster.
The villagers got irate.
And so it was, and if you see that brutality, you know that, the thing is the monster did it innocently too, because the little girl saw him and she wasn't afraid of him, and she was like, "Do you want to play with me?" And she was picking flowers and she was throwing flowers. She goes, "What?" She threw the flower and it floated, and then he threw one and it floated. So then he picked her up and threw her in, and she didn't float.
Yeah.
So,
crazy.
The only thing about it is because it's number one because it sets the standard for what's coming in the future of horror.
Gotcha.
It tells us what American horror is going to be looking at. And it talks about an external monster, right? This was something that was very common in the literature. It's what we see in Bram Stoker. It's what we see in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And we see this emulated then. But in American cinema, we don't really see this kind of horror until 1931. And then after 1931, going into the 40s, you end up with changes in the horror genre where it's being emulated over and over again. The daughter of Frankenstein versus the Wolfman.
Yeah,
you end up with Abbott and Costello,
the Three Stooges meet Frankenstein, whatever
that kind of thing. So you see that happening, and all of that, if you think about it, those kind of distractions, right, are occurring during the Second World War period.
Oh, that's right.
And so you have these films that are coming out, and it's after the Second World War that it stops being the monster. And it starts being humanity that is the thing after we get past the radiation monsters and things like that. And so, I could go on and on about this. I think that there's a lot of fascinating things, the reflections of our culture, sociology that are embedded in horror films.
Yeah.
And we see it today. And we're going to continue to see that. I mean, you see, serial rapist films, which might be more of a thriller. I think 10 Minutes to Midnight. Charles Bronson film about a serial killer, right? Not a traditional horror film. Bronson's in it. It's more of a detective flick.
Yeah.
But there's all these horror elements in it because we don't look at them as horror because we go like, well, it's more of a gritty crime thriller. Yeah. But for any woman who's been raped,
but they're
that's got it. They couldn't really go see a film like that. It might be traumatic for them.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so when you're dealing with real elements like that, and that's why I think the entirety of horror is always dealing with this, something that's situated in the mind of the people at the time. It reflects that back to us. And so Weapons, this movie that just came out. Have you seen it?
I was just starting to watch it.
Tess saw it, but I haven't seen it.
So, I mean, it's an interesting take on the horror genre. And a lot of people, it's very original. They're already talking about, of course, doing a sequel now because it was so successful.
Yeah, of course.
When you talk about The Exorcist, as we have, you have the whole series with the Annabelle and
Conjuring,
and all that.
Amityville had a series.
Yeah, Amityville horror. I remember I read Amityville when it came out. And
I think we all did. I think at school they let us read that book.
Yeah, I totally freaked me out.
A lot of people were walking around with that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, when they did the James Brolin version, total disappointment over the book.
the original Amityville horror movie.
Yeah. And I was obsessed with that. I read everything about what was his name? David something? Develko or Devaco? I can't remember. The horror fans out there will know the actual murder that occurred in the house where the son killed the family, right? Which is where the whole mythology comes from for the Amityville horror.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah. Do you have all day? I don't.
We probably almost have all day, but you guys don't have all day.
No.
And listen, I hope you've enjoyed this. I know this is a long episode, and look, break it up into 10, 20-minute segments. Next thing you know, look, that's how I was told to read. Okay, if you don't have time to read, start reading 10 minutes at a time. And then next thing you know, you're reading 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and now you've got the time. So same thing with this one. If it's a little bit long for you, break it up into segments, watch it, listen to it, whatever it is. But we're going to wrap it up right here. And with that, you guys know that this program is available wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, whatever streaming service you use, just search the Ben Maynard program. Boom, it's right there. Go with it. But subscribe to it. That way you'll get notifications every time a new episode drops. You know what? You can even leave us a 5-star review, okay? Because these guys deserve it. But if you are watching here on YouTube, then we greatly appreciate it, and we've had a great time. But again, subscribe to the channel, and then give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Leave your lists. You got a top 10? Leave your lists, all right? Because I'll get into it and I'll share your comments with these guys. And
if you just
sorry,
if you like what I've been saying and you want to talk to me about horror, hey, reach out. He'll forward it, and
hit him on Facebook.
We'll talk.
Hit him on Facebook. So there you go. And leave a comment, and I reply to all your comments anyway. Last but not least, follow me on Instagram, Ben Maynard Program, all one word, or the TikTok, the Ben Maynard Program. This has been a blast, guys.
That was fun.
I can't thank you guys enough for taking
had a good time.
It's
for
fun.
It was fun.
But I can't thank you guys enough for taking.
It used to be the Facebook. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Then they changed it to just Facebook.
Yeah. So look, we're done. All right, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, one last thing though. Listen, if you're gonna go listen to this, download it. All right, download the episode. All right, I get a little more credit when you download stuff than when you just listen to it. And then you know what? Also, last thing while we're wrapping up, share it. Share it. Even if you don't watch or listen to it, share it with your people.
That's right. Just say, I've listened to these 3 idiots for an hour and a half, and I thought you should listen to them.
Just make that 2 idiots, because I'm not one. I'm thinking for me.
But share it with your people, because that's how we spread the word. All right. So
I'm an idiot too.
We're done. Thanks a lot, everyone. Greatly appreciate it. Let me get my screen going right here. This is the Ben Maynard Program.
See you.
Tell a friend.